Good morning, guys, and welcome to iPhone Smart. We are racing from Scottsville today, and it starts in about an hour. So at the bottom here is all our algorithms for the exotics. On the side here is all our race by race comments. At the bottom here we've also added how we see the day with all the selections for you to be to have, and then the editors exotics is down at the bottom here as well. Let's start off with the first year, and they start at 12:40. I must say there's a bit of a question mark for me on Zabadak with Roberts and Vinegar. That's in really good form and on debut today. So I can't say much for the first timers, but maybe Zabadak and Lucky Dollar, if there's any support, betting support on those two, you should take that into reckoning. But other than that, Grand Lupo for me, if Wendy Whitehead and Richard Fourie can team up and do well today, they do have a 30% win and 60% place ratio. And they did have a really decent debut, but that was on the poly. And that gives us the best bat 42 days, 84 days, and bat curve. And Diani was just right behind it. So on that same race, 5th and 6th, the 3.3 lengths behind the winner versus 4.9 lengths, so 1.6 lengths for Warren Kennedy to make up on that run. Now versus Richard Fourie, so those two I would say is in the reckoning. Then Aztec Warrior, Jason Gates did not get as much out of the horse as Warren Kennedy did. If you look at Warren Kennedy's Scottsville form here, 6.99 bat, and Warren Kennedy above the 1300 meter at 12.12 bat. When Jason Gates was riding, it wasn't a mini feature, it was a 1762, and that's not going to be enough. But Warren Kennedy's done an 864 and a 1058 as well. So if Jason Gates does not bring his A game, then this is not going to be good enough. And therefore I have also mentioned Grand Lupo and Diani, and then others to mention for me is Kitchakal on a very good debut with some support from 33 into 16. That 1200 Scottsville form ran third. Now Keegan the Mielo's on board, and that's a 62.5% place ratio. Pretty good there, and that 5.99 is better than any of those that Warren Kennedy could have done. And then Forgotten Time as a roughie for me does have his abilities as well. Looks like he's coming back to form. Previously in the Vol, he has some decent Vol form, running second and second again and second and second again. And those bat figures of 8.84 and 9.76, as well as a 1160 Turffontein bat of 2.07, does make it really attractive at that kind of price, currently at 14.29. And when Machanyani was riding it, he did have support from 16 to 3.5, and that was in the yielding going. So he does have the ability to upset this as well. And then a small mention for these Ice Kingdom here, I guess, because it's been gelded, as you can see there. One Man's Arm's been gelded and has a stable change, but wasn't much support on debut. So a bit of a question mark on that one as well for me, but all in all, I think those are the ones that has chances. Zabadak, Diani, Grand Lupo, Kitchakal, Ice Kingdom, Forgotten Time, Aztec Warrior. I think those are the ones with chances in this race. Race 2, yeah, I'm going to go with Strawberry Bear as my first choice, but it's not a huge first choice, but it's a first choice nonetheless. If I look at the bat figures here, it was really good. Given it was only his first run, Serena Moodley has retained the ride, and I make that my first choice based on that big support from 14 to 16 as well, just 1.7 behind. Best exact distance, medium speed, EDMS. So that's one to consider. But I'd also bring in Lazy Guy here. Third run after a rest. He's getting a little bit older, therefore that's getting older in the tooth. but he has some really decent vol form, and you can see that he's moved now the last 2 runs into KZN, and he did get a little bit of support with Muzi riding the first time, and there was a massive change there from the 1200 Gravel 2102 bat to a 2.14 on this one, so I don't think Lazy Guy is out of it when you look at the win chances. Then Smith & Wesson is now change of stable and gelded. Carty takes the ride, but also has a very decent 55.56% place record. Tongue Tie is fitted at 10 to 1. That's not a bad option either. On debut, he was backed in from 3 into 2 to 1. And he might get more improvement now in KwaZulu-Natal, in Scotland. So Smith & Wesson, Strawberry Bear, Lazy Guy, Winterpool is the favourite. He will need to do a little bit more than what he's showed so much. 1,000 meters 6.03, but when he went up to 1160, not the best with 29.55. I'm just saying what the data is showing me here. The Ultimo could be anything. Dennis Dry and Sean Veal together, they only have 2 for the day, could be anything. And then Buster Keaton had a lot of support on his Kenilworth debut, and I quite like Andre Nell's other runner today, so another one to consider. And then, yeah, first timers that could get some support is Cash Crusade, Michael Robertson, Vinegar, Red Piano gets Keegan the Mielo on board, so that's something that should also be taken into consideration. I don't like much to put money on when there's too many unknowns, because, yeah, that's when you take risk into your own hands. So I can only say what I'm seeing, and that's Strawberry Bear, Lazy Guy, Smith & Wesson, Winterpool, and Buster Keaton, and then anything for those first timers mentioned. In the third race, actually quite interesting runner here for me is the biggest one of the outsiders, Let the Sunshine, because he does have the best bat CD, although it being a seriously bad bat CD, and also he does have the best adjusted time, but it's a very open race for me. Virginia Sweet can very much win it. Special Charm, you'll see here, is the second choice for the algorithm. So Virginia Sweet, Special Charm, Grandi or Ricci. But I wouldn't be surprised even if Mrs. Shelby and Let the Sunshine make their presence felt there. So it's not another race for me to get involved in at a 0.83 betting odds. Especially because there's unknowns as far as the 1750 is concerned. The furthest is gone is 1400, and then that big run there was on the poly, so there's also a question mark on whether that can be repeated on the turf and over the extra 350. So yeah, if I have to do anything in this race, I'll maybe just do a bit of a joke with Let the Sunshine on top 4 if Lazy Guy is making his presence felt. In race 4, potential here for a Peter Muscat bluff, in my opinion, just purely because when I look at the actual messages that we got in the black book here, Peter Muscat, he's got quite a good chance of coming with the alternative with the stablemate. And so for that reason, you see they wrote the double. Tristan Godden wrote the double for Muscat when Muscat also booked for in another race. Watch when Trevor Godden is booked for Muscat. And this is a first timer where Tristan Godden is booked for Muscat. And some good breeding. Give me the green light, and what a winter. So Aurora Storm is in there, in my opinion. Wave Warrior, the other Muscat runner, is in there. And then I'd also throw in something like in the pick 6, something like Ultimate Jewel. Just purely because the bat figures is hidden here, 6.3 on the 1st of June and then at 12.2 on the 10th of July. And now it's getting blinkers and tongue tie. And yeah, there's only 2 for Cardinals, Kennedy for today. And yes, Kennedy is not riding for his wife today. He's riding on Wiley Riley. So Wiley Riley is another one to consider. And something on a first timer like Money Heist. If there's any support on Money Heist as well, give me the green light with the lecture. Also very decent. Gareth Van Sale does love his returns in Scottsville. Good win place jockey percentage, and also some messages here on the 20th of June regarding Gareth Van Sale. That also makes me think that's another one. And then Intimidator is the favorite, yes, Justin Snape, Richard Fleury. But yeah, not my first selection. And the second favorite is Fire Lord, not my first selection either. So yeah, one of those where a lot of people could get out of the pick six here if ultimately something like Ultimate Jewel or Wave Warrior wins this race, in my opinion. There was no support here for the Bund on debut, but Roberts and Venica is in good form. I'll watch if there is any support. Race 5 here. Again, yeah, trainers has a habit of winning with the stablemate very often. Yesterday it happened in the first race with Candice Bass-Robinson. After the Bass-Robinson stable said it's just running for the experience in the first one, so that's one to consider again. And also in the 6th and also in the 8th yesterday, 3 out of the 8 races, the favourite was beaten by his stablemate. What a coincidence in South African racing. So that brings me to believe that Love of Gold should be considered, even if it's at 25 to 1. It does have a very good debut. If I'm looking at the BAT 42 figures here, it is the best by 3 lengths to Regina's Angel, which is currently also at 25 to 1, the old one with the best adjusted time and some bomb roll 84 form here. So my first 3 is Love of Gold, Feeling Groovy, and Regina's Angel, and perhaps then Kwanabi and Delu is my next best. So yeah, I think if you want to go pick 6 short, Love of Gold, Feeling Groovy, and Regina's Angel would be my short list. In the 6th race, made a note here on Sea Master, so I'm going to go with Sea Master as one of the ones that I really think is decent enough here. Sea Master, Mr. Jump was flying at the desk, should be watched next time out, and today is the next time out. The algorithms makes it second. Trade War is another interesting after Nathan Kotson does also come into play in the previous. The handicappers could have got it completely wrong after debut when it went up to an 82, and now it turns into red because, as you can see, the untraining happening here. It's gone from an 82 back to a 68. So I'd be worried about any horse in red, and I'd be even more worried about any horse in red where the owner and the trainer has the same names, which is the case with Trade War. So yeah, Trade War one to consider for me as well here, as picked up by the algorithms as well. Sea Master I've mentioned. Then Lord Wiley is Wendy Whitehead and Ashton Aries, and I don't think it's such a bad option here. It has got a lot of support recently. It won its previous time over the course and distance, ranked 3rd the one before that, in some very decent times. And Ashton Aries is not a bad form at the moment. He does have a 50% jockey trainer combination as well, so Lord Wiley in here. Lady Serena with Muziyeni on board gets the best exact course, exact distance bat CD, the blue bat or purple bat for some, by 4 lengths. So Lady Serena at 10 to 1, another one to consider. It's run very well with Muzi recently, and you can see the merit rating has also gone a little bit down, not that much, but the 3 times in a row, 1, 1 and 3rd, now went too far on the 1600 meters. So is dropping back to where it's got the 2 winners and a 3rd in the last 3 runs. So don't throw Lady Serena out of this either. And then Imilen Zevo Yokoduma, good luck to the commentator. Had a really good win at Scottsville, not the best of bad figures. Followed it up with another 1400 Gravel win turf, so have to be respected. Comes from a seriously terrible draw on 14. He should overcome the draw, so it's not my first choice, but can overcome the draw. So Trade War, Sea Master, Runaway Song, Lord Wiley, Lady Serena, Imilenze Yokoduma, as well as Captain Seagar, the stablemate for Muzi. It's not actually too bad if you look on the collateral form lines of some of these runs, then was pretty decent as well. So yeah, those would be my main considerations. Throw Mr. Maloney as well. There is a bit of a gear change here. Garth Puller is in decent form, so I would throw him out as well. He's got some good bat figures here. Moving on to the 7th race, and in the 7th, I'm going to start off with maybe Quick Step Lady. Looks pretty decent, and the reason why I'm thinking Quick Step Lady for me as my first choice. Algorithms has got it as second, and Humdinger as first, but I'm just looking at these. This is a 1500 Class C Scottsville, and if I look at these bat figures, 8.5, 7.3, 7.9 on Humdinger, but Quick Step Lady's last run over the 14 Gravel was a 3.4 bat, so that was a really good improvement the last two runs, even though that was on poly and poly. So not sure whether that can now also materialize on the grass, but in saying that, it's not really materialized in grass. If you look at the grass form 25, 23, 29, that's a poly form of 7, back to poly 15, then grass 22. So yeah, Quick Step Lady if the grass works. What means that I need to take actually to consideration was the last time Rachel Vinegar was booked, backed in from 7 to 5, did win over the 1400 poly, and Rachel Vinegar is booked again. So win place jockey is 16% wins and 100% place. So take that in mind. Top 4, 100% return, 100% probability for the combination. Sounds pretty decent to me. Then only the Brave here with Muscat and Yeni. By now we know if it's had a good time, but the last run was really good there to the 6, also on the poly. And then others to consider is maybe Lucky Miss. I like Gumere's hit rate with Duncan Howells of late. And Angel of Justice, you see, has a really good last 3.79, again on the poly. So again, one that needs to be considered here. So I'm going to stick with saying Quick Step Lady is my first choice, followed by Humdinger, Only the Brave, Full Royalty, and then Lucky Miss, Dawn of a New Day, Unconditional Love, Angel of Justice, all those for the bigger exotics. And then in the last, I quite like the chances in the last of Mr. Binda Pinda Mazala. Finished in May 67, this horse was an 82, and now it's a, well, I think it's even got, yeah, it's a 68 now. It's got a winning place of a nice 53%, which is really decent considering you're getting 100% return for a top 3. It's got a much better draw today. Last time was a 12 draw, now it's a 1 draw. It's got Peterson booked, maintained the ride now, and it's moved from the Turfontein into Scottsville. It didn't do that well the last time in Scottsville, but in saying that, that 796 is very close to the best bat of 654 here with Trafalgar Square. So given that last run of a 3.1 on the turf, and also some other 1000 meter 6.6, 6.89, 4.14, 6.58, and the consistency of Peterson maintained again, as well as Peterson's only ride for the day, and the 50% strike rate with the jockey and trainer, I'm going to stick with Pinda Mazala as my first choice here. Confirmed also by overall ranking, 44% chance to win, so that's a 4 out of the 9 on the P stats for the Scottsville 1000 meter Class E. So that's going to be my first choice here. My second is Mallorca, 25 to 1 on 1 too many. Interesting also the drop into a red version, only ride for Naidu and Mallorca today, so don't leave that one too far away. And then another only runner. These only runners just grows wings the moment they become an only runner. It seems like they know. So that's Pacific Winter, another only runner. And then Alfonso Begonia, only runner for Dixon, and Master Kinu, another red one, which means danger. Gear change as well for Governor and third run rested. Could just pop out of the blue and do this again. And this red Trafalgar Square here. So those that want to take a chance, maybe just go 1 and 7 in the last leg or 1-7-3 in the last leg. But I quite like the chances of Pinda Mazala. If you look at the jockey trainer combos here, you can see a couple of them standing out nicely here, like Andre Nel and Vinegar on Quick Step Lady at 10 to 1. This is all ones, Pinda Mazala, so that's pretty decent there. Further down, there's a couple ones here that got Cotson double here, of course, but there's no money in that. Virginia Sweet and Feeling Groovy. Interesting to note the stablemate is at 14 to 1. and has the best bat curve and bat 42 days. So something to note there. Further down, here's a nice one on Miller and Moodley on Strawberry Bear, looking pretty decent for a each way chance. There's the cock, the two decent ones here with quite a Richard Fourie on Humdinger here, looking pretty good. And here is Nathan Kotson with some very big outsiders. Regina's Angel 14-1, Trade War 25-1, Angel of Justice 20-1. That doesn't look like those kind of odds when you look at the rankings. Paul Matchett here has Forgotten Time that I spoke about earlier. Jenny on Special Charm here, that could be a giving that odds on a bit of a run. And then Musketeer on Craig Zaki for Wave Warrior looks pretty decent here. And Richard Fourie on Imileze Yokuduma. And even on the only the Brave one at the back here. So Musket could have a decent enough day. Bardenhouse Gates, I said I don't know if Gates can get that out of it, but if he can, then it's in the run reckoning here. And then Grant Lupo here for Richard Fourie's only ride for Wendy Whitehead looks pretty decent. Governor in the back here with his only run on Master Kiku. And then going over to the JTR detail, just the ranking averages for each race. Just quickly through race 1, you see 305, 341, 355, 355. It's very close together for the first 4. Then 2.5, 3.1, 3.4, 3.5. The first 4 again very close together. Then a 1.94 on the Genius Suite, and a 2.5 on Special Charm, and a 305 on Grand Crucis, and a 333 on Miss Shelby. Race 4, 305, 327, 343, 355, 364. So you can see the first 5 really is very close together. So maybe that's where your winner will come from, which is Fire Lord, Wave Warrior, Intimidator, Ultimate Jewel, and Wiley Riley. And of course, then these first timers I spoke to you about earlier, like Aurora Storm, is another one that we need to consider for all the first timers. We need to consider race 5 to Feeling Groovy, and then 2.55 to Regina's Angel at 14-1, 394 on Love of Gold. So those are basically the 3 standing out, followed by Kunabi. Race 6, 414, 468, 552, 354, 5566. So it's really a very open race. If your best average is a 4.14, then it's really, you want that average to be as close as possible to 1 to be a better chance. So an average of 4.14 in a field of 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 is a very bad average. Race 7, you got a 2.8 here on Mike the Cock with Humdinger, and a 295 with Quick Step Levy at 10-1, and then a nice gap to 4 on Only the Brave, and 485 on Full Royalty. Full Royalty, an interesting 33-1 run a year. And then in the last, as you see, the one that's really standing out is Clinton Binder, 168 here on Pinda Mazala at a nice 9-2. Next best is a 414 on One Too Many, and a 418 on Pacific Winter, and a 505 on Alfonso Spagoni. So essentially what that means is Clinton Binder's only runner, with Peter's only jockey for the day, has an average of 168 in this field. You can see it has actually 15 firsts in total of the 22, and that brings a nice average of 1.68. And for that reason, I think Clinton Binder is pretty decent in Pinda Mazala on the back. If I just look at the actual bat figures, which I like to know, because remember this is in actual lengths. And if I look at these bat figures here, you'll see this 1100 Turffontein from a bad 12 draw was a really decent run, given a 3.1, and as a backup at Turffontein a 6.8, a 4.1, and a 6.5, and then also even a 7.971, and there's nothing really coming that close on turf. There's a 8.7 on Poly for One Too Many, and 8.4 on Poly here, and Pacific Winter 8.9 also on the Poly. And then you go much further. This is also Poly on Alfonso Spagoni, unknown really. Well, the one time on the turf was no good, 25s. And then further down you have more Poly 8 and a 9, and Poly 4.8. So if I just break that to only turf form, and that's one of the things we'll do on our filters going forward, then the closest really to Clinton Binder's Pinda Mazala must be the Trafalgar Square, Dennis Bosch, Muzieni runner, and you can see why these things stands out is when you see Dennis Bosch, trainer, and Mrs. Bosch, the owner. Then you see these kind of things. While the NHA doesn't see it, but we see it. It was an 86 merit rating just not too long ago. It's now a 61. It gives you 25 merit rating points. That gives you 25 merit rating points and 12.5 kilos to play with. Don't be surprised if Trafalgar Square overcomes this draw with Muzi now all of a sudden back, making a big improvement. He didn't do much that previous time, but it was on the poly, and now back on the grass. You'll see that was way worse, 12 lengths worse, 18.14. This was 8.94 and a 7.54, so consistency twice. When we look at those kind of merit ratings, something to consider then is Trafalgar Square into your pick sixes based on those kind of figures. Further down, there's nothing really that flashes at all, so can close that one, can close that one, can close that one. That one I want to leave open. That is nothing in actual grass or turf, so therefore I'm going to close it for now. That's a 37. There's also nothing on the grass side, so close that for now. Master Kiko has got the polyform, but hasn't done as good, but 10 lengths or so away on the grass. Happy Wanderer, I'm going to close for now because the 19 is the best. Alfonso Spagoni's that 25 here, much better on the poly as well. Times Silhouette, 15 is the best on the turf, which is not too bad given Richard Farina takes the ride. Pacific Winter, the 17 is the best on the grass, and those are all polys better. One Too Many, the 21, and that's 8 and 4 is on poly as well. So that one sticks out. One Too Many, Cumnado Mallorca, so 25 to 1 to consider, with a bit of support on debut and winning at 8.52. So One Too Many is another one, and then Pinda Mazala. So really, if you look at just turf, then Pinda Mazala, One Too Many, Master Kiku, Trafalgar Square is really the ones to consider there. That's it from me, guys. Have a great day.